I'm going to give part 2 of my talk on coming out of hiding, which I call Coming Back to Life. So that's coming up in this hour. We'll also have a 10-minute meditation. And we have some participants at the end of my talk, and would love to hear from many more of you too about questions and comments relating to the topic that I'll be discussing here. But first, this. Do you realize that it's been 1 year since the center building closed? For
Wow.
1 year, we have not met at our beautiful, big, paid off center building here in Eugene, Oregon. Now, this does not add up to much for those of you who are zooming in from afar. And let me say, I just totally love the fact that you're able to zoom in from different parts of the world, even. I think we have a few here, and certainly from different parts of the USA. But it's so wonderful to have that possibility to share this from beyond the building. But I want you to just remember, those of you who live here in town, what it was like on a Sunday. Okay, Sunday, you want to get there before 11 o'clock. Okay, that's when it's going to start, right at 11. Almost always Joel will be doing question and answers or something along this line. So you're driving up to the center building, or you're walking up to the center building, or you're taking your bicycle, you're getting to the center building, always with some feeling of expectation. For one thing, the sangha, the community comes together, and the doors open, and you look in and you see the faces. Let's hope there's some smiling faces saying hello, hello, everyone. And then some hugs. Oh, hugging the friends. Oh, and hug this person and that person. And, and then for shy people, maybe less aggressive hugs, or, hellos, quieter hellos. In the old days, I remember that sometimes I would just sort of naturally become a door greeter, way back at the Fillmore House, even stand or sitting near the door, watching for someone to come in and then welcome them. Oh, come in. It might be a brand new person. They don't know. What is this place? So welcoming in. And at the new building, sometimes too, I've just found myself standing there near the door. Hello, come in, come in. And so we've missed that for a whole year now. And yet, Zoom, the technology of Zoom allows us to connect in a way that for me has been fulfilling. For me has been intimate. I have learned so much about intimacy, true intimacy, by looking into my screen at all you people. So I want to do a little something with you. If you are here without turning on your camera, would you please consider turning on your camera right now, even if you haven't combed your hair, or you're lying in bed still on a Sunday morning. There's Clavon. Hi, Clavon. Great. Jim and Beth tuning in. Great. Hello. Hello. I see Vip turning on cameras. Lakshmi. Lakshmi, hello. Margaret. Great. I haven't met Margaret yet. This is wonderful. I can see Hannah and Claude there. And, sometimes we think, oh, I didn't clean up the house. And Megan. Hello, Megan. My very, very beautiful friend Megan is phoning in. Megan, I would, if you would all just gather your loving energy and send it to that phone call coming in from Megan Greiner, a longtime center member, down in the corner of my second screen. So realizing that you're looking at this on different devices, so you might have, a little tiny screen, or you can see everyone at once, or you have to scroll through. I have 2 pages. So just looking around. So I'd like to do a little fun exercise with you. I hope you will see this as fun, because you might think, oh, I'm tuning out here. This is too froofy for me. But wait, we're getting to the good stuff. I promise. I want you to take a moment, and I want you to cast your eyes into your camera. Okay, so I'm right now I'm looking directly into my camera. But now I'm going to look, my eyes are going to travel to every box. I see Barb Dewey, and there's Melissa, also known as Sweetbird, and there's Al and Robin. And I'm going to keep going. And I'd like you to do this too, traveling from one box to the next. Okay. Really have a good look. There's Sally. I thought Sally'd be out climbing a mountain today. So looking, your eyes are, there's Wesley and Sherry in one box. Hillary, Joel, Chris, Ellie. You're looking good, Ellie. Nancy Miller, David Cunningham. So your eyes are traveling across. I'm going to go to my next page, and there's all the people. I want you to keep doing this. And now let's practice a meditation of smiling. So that the corners, notice the corners of the lips go on. Maybe the lips part, you see the teeth. And we give that as a service to each person. So you can look, I see Barb Dewey. Here's my smile, Barb. And there's hers. So there we have exchanged a beautiful greeting of smiling. And, you know, some say that there are acupressure points in here. When you smile, this releases something good. I don't know what it is, but I actually feel it now. I'm kind of tingling all over, just smiling. So looking at every box and smiling. And then keep doing this. A lot of faces to look out. Look, there's a face not smiling. Wonder if you could send some energy that way. And to our phone callers too, not to be forgotten. Okay, keep going. One face after another. You might even move in a little closer, because some hide back, way back here in the room, but moving in. Hi, everyone. Greetings. Greetings. And still going. Still going. Okay, and now I'm going to turn on a little piece of music. And this is a piece of music that comes from Thich Nhat Hanh's Plum Village. It's called Breathing In, Breathing Out. And so I want you to continue this traveling around from screen to screen, smiling. Hello, everyone. Greetings. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. I am blooming as a flower. I am fresh as the dew. I am soaring. Can you hear the music okay? As a mountain. I'm going to help you out with the words. If you feel like singing along with your mic off, give it a try. The next words are breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. I am water. Reflecting. What is real? What is true? And I feel there is space. Deep inside of me. I am free. I am free. I am free. Keep going, huh? A little bit more. I love to play with you all. Sometimes we're so serious. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. I am water, reflecting what is real, what is true, and I feel there is space deep inside of me. I am free. I am free. I am free. That's a lovely piece of music. I meant to turn it off instead of restarting. Here we go. There we are back. Okay. So, yes, you can find that piece of music if you Google breathing in, breathing out, Plum Village. And then I downloaded it to my computer. So that's just a lovely piece coming to us from Plum Village. You know, I felt that was very relevant to the way I wanted to get started on this because as you may realize, yesterday was the spring equinox. And, you know, with that brings so much energy of revitalization. Yeah. I'm going to talk more about revitalization, the beauty of flowers, and I'm going to ask Bev Forster to also dialogue with me a little bit about that. But first, my friends, let's have a 10-minute meditation. So we've had some song, we've said hello to each other like we would at the center. Joel would say, let's go around the room, everyone say your name, but imagine how chaotic that would be if we tried to say everyone's name. But it did make us all feel included, I will say that. So with the essence of this song, breathing in, breathing out, which is a fabulous teaching always to have on the tip of your tongue. In a time of stress, breathing in, breathing out. A time of happiness, breathing in, breathing out. It's always there. It's always there for you to look at, unless it has come now to the last day. Stop. This is how it is to us. And appears we're all here, and we're breathing in, breathing out. So I will ring the bell once to get us started. And then a couple of times within our 10 minutes, I will remind you breathing in, breathing out, because, you know, you might actually get lost in some thoughts thinking about, I wonder if we're going to get some sunshine today, and then I could go for a very nice walk, or what will I have for the evening meal tonight? And we start thinking and we forget all about that you're sitting here in front of a screen. Sometimes keeping that camera on makes us more accountable. Like, oh, I think I'll turn my camera off and go do some dishes while we're meditating. I've done it. I know. Sally, you never did that, no? You have to. Okay, we're all human, so it occurs to us, well, I can maybe get out of this one. Who's going to know? You know, who's going to know what's going on in my mind? The only one knowing what's going on in your mind is your mind. Your mind knows what's going on. You turned off the camera and went and did some dishes and got out of it, and then you came back, turned the camera on. Nobody know, but you know, you hold yourself accountable. Okay, so enough with the talking. I'll ring the bell once to get us started, 10 minutes, and then I'll ring the bell at the end, and we will bow. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. I am blooming as a flower. I am fresh as the dew. I am solid as the mountain. I am firm as the earth. I am free. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. I am water reflecting what is real, what is true. And I feel there is space deep inside of me. I am free. I am free. I am free. We bow to all the teachers who have come before us, have brought the teachings for millennia. And here in this place, I'd like to especially thank Joel for getting the Center for Sacred Sciences off the ground and teaching for us for so many years. Thank you, Joel. Always, I'm bowing to you. Thank you so much. And to Ruth Dennison, my Vipassana teacher who sang that song, was first time I ever heard it. She sang it. She forgot half the words, but it made a mark on me. I always remembered that. Breathing in, breathing out. It's springtime, my friends. Yes, many of us have had very limited contact over the last year, some not so much. I know some people have flown around and done many things. I've stayed mostly to home, haven't seen many people in person. But springtime, even without that, we think of it as the return of the light. It's the vernal equinox. What has lain dormant in the winter now comes back to life. And then often we feel revitalized. How about you? I know I do. The light changes. Well, we turn those clocks. I get real confused and we turn the clocks forward, but oh my goodness, the light is coming back. And then here in the Pacific Northwest, we have flowers popping up everywhere. Now, some of you, you're coming in from different places, so I don't know if you have that display of life popping like we do here. Nirja wouldn't let me cut any of the yellow daffodils, sorry, Nirja, out front here, but I found this one laying out on the sidewalk. Somebody had clipped it and then it was fallen. I put it in store, and it's alive in this long it will last, because we love the flowers. We love flowers, but they're impermanent, just like everything else except consciousness itself. They're impermanent. Yet we love them, huh? And my question I've been wondering is, does impermanence make the flower more beautiful to us? If they were there all the time, like artificial flowers are always there, um, even they are impermanent. but this flower, is it because of the impermanence? And so, in thinking about that question, I wanted to call on our hometown flower whisperer, which is Bev Forster. And she's going to talk to me a little bit about that because if she can get unmuted, there she is. Because you're a master flower keeper, aren't you, Bev? You grow the flowers, right? You arrange the flowers, you decorate places with flowers.
Yes, I totally love flowers, but I've never been called a flower whisperer before. So thank you.
I'm whispering.
so, so yes, I have a lovely garden in the all spring and well, not quite spring yet, but or flowers yet, but all during the summer. And I love, cutting, arranging, and giving flowers and decking the halls, so to speak. Of some of you remember on retreat that I brought flowers, and so yeah, I love them. And actually, I have a few here, right here, that you might be able to see. Um, so some of these are most of them are over a week old. They're still looking great, and some of them are starting to fade. So noticing their impermanence as they fade. And I totally feel sadness in the autumn with the first frost because they're gone. I mean, they are gone. So this time of year, I feel alive with their presence again. And flowers to me represent, beauty and caring, sharing, vitality, aliveness. And even though they themselves are impermanent, I feel like their essence is alive within me. And that does not go away. It's part of my, it's just part of my awareness, I guess, that that essence of flowers kind of lives on in my essence.
So you see the flower as it first begins, the bud first begins, or do you put seeds? Do you plant the seeds first, or are they growing from
some
very
seeds, but mostly starts. And I have a lot of dahlias that come back year after year. So
okay? So you're there when they start, and then they come up, right? And then they open, all right?
yes,
You see the
just
beauty.
like the tulips are just about to open.
Yeah. And then you know that this is short-lived, right? And then they're going to go back to the
Yes.
ground. Yeah. They'll go back to the ground. And then so you feel some grief, some sweet sadness. Oh, it's gone now. But you know from experience that it's likely to come back the next spring. Here it comes again.
Yes, the beautiful rebirth and cycling of nature.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something we can trust, I think, for the most part.
Uh-huh. And do you identify with that in yourself some way, that rebirthing?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, springtime makes me feel alive or feel the aliveness of the flowers and the essence. And surely my heart opens up every time I'm taking a walk and I'm looking and gazing at flowers and trees and blossoms. And there's so much beauty this time of year. So that makes me feel really alive.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for that, Bev. I really appreciated that. You know, some people, they prefer winter. They love the beauty of winter. And some prefer the beauty of fall, right? There's so much beauty in every season. And then I love summer. Love this summer. So, we can love it all, but it's impermanent. It's cycling round and round, round and round. Death, rebirth, death, rebirth. And so, in some way you accept that. I'm going to have it now, then it's gone. I hope to have it back. Can't really be sure, but it seems that it will come back again. So thank you for that, Bev. Some of you others, people here are flower people as well, or gardeners, and it's an exciting time for you. And I can feel that excitement from you. So, a brief recap from part one of my talk on coming out of hiding. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I understand that later on that talk will be available on the center's publication page. But I talked about coming out of my own hiding in that talk, which took several decades. Not to tell the story of it, that took about an hour, but decades and decades of hiding and then coming close to the door to come out of the door, coming out of hiding. And, since that time, some of you heard that talk. I actually received letters and notes from people related to it. And some of you may have a story or an experience you'd like to share about coming out of hiding. And so at the end of this talk, there'll be time for that. I hope you will. I came out of hiding about sexuality, about illness, about strengths and weaknesses. I revealed all my secrets. And I'll tell you what, when I was done with that talk, I was like levitating. I was off my feet, just levitating from the energy pouring through me. All that energy held back. I also, at that time, read to you a quote from Adyashanti from his book. I don't have it here. It's called The End of Your World, and it's on page 69. So Adyashanti says, until the whole world is free to agree with you or disagree with you, until you have given freedom to everyone to like you or not like you, to love you or hate you, to see things differently, until you have given the whole world its freedom, you'll never have your freedom. So, to flip that around, if you want freedom, you've got to give the whole world freedom to not like you. If you want freedom from seeking approval, these are my own words, from hiding from what other people think of you, you have to give them freedom to dislike you, to reject you. If you can't do this, then you use tremendous energy either hiding in the nutshell or in the mouse hole. Don't see me, don't want anyone to see you or recognize that you're alive. Or you're trying to manipulate everyone to like you. That takes a lot of energy. Maybe you agree with all of their views just so that they might like you and accept you. But try this on. I'm willing to be rejected. I'm willing to be unloved. I'm willing to be unloved. Aren't we all lovable? Yes, but I'm willing to be unloved. That just saying that it stirs us up, doesn't it? Willing to be unloved. If I'm not willing to be unloved, then I have to hide out. Okay, I'm going to hide out, or I'm going to try to get you to love me all the time. You just think of how hard that is to get the whole world to love you. Yeah, it takes a lot of energy. It takes up a whole lifetime. So, in part one of the talk, I talked about examples of coming out of hiding, and I don't think I need to go through them again, but we can move on because there's something very important here. What do I really mean when I say coming out of hiding? Yes, we can discuss it in terms of secrets that we've kept from others and from ourselves. It could be secrets about the family or a bad deed that you did one time or whatever it is, secrets that you've kept. But here's what I want to point out. When you truly come out of hiding, you are letting go of the place inside where you felt yourself hiding. I'm going to say that again. When you truly come out of hiding, you're letting go of that place inside where you felt you were hiding. your imaginary cave, or your nutshell. I always like to think of a nutshell for some reason, like a walnut. And inside the walnut, there's those two pieces. They're like hemispheres of the brain. That's how I picture it. Um, it's also known, this place that we hide is also known as the story of I. You've heard of that, the story of I. Until we awaken, we are, each of us, hiding inside the story of I. So, what is the story of I? In Joel's book, I have that right here, The Way of Selflessness. If you haven't read this book, it's time to do it. Page 38, I have a quote from Joel. We translate our lived experience into an interior stream of images, ideas, memories, expectations, and judgments, which our thinking minds weave into an intricate and ongoing narrative. This is the story of I, in which each of us ends up starring as a full blown ego self. Does that sound familiar? The story of I. So Joel mentions in that page the soap opera, and in my own words, like a soap opera, all about me. My story of I, it's all about me. We believe we are separate from everyone else. My separate little box here, not yours. This is mine, right? My separate box, my separate nutshell. And we dwell within that which separates us from each other. We lead a self-centered life. We can't help it. If you're locked in the story of I, you're the center of the universe. So what are you going to do? You're going to lead a self-centered life. Turn off the TV. Turn off the TV. Ruth Dennison used to say, why do you want to watch TV? She said, you have a TV show going on all the time inside yourself. So why turn on that TV? Just watch this TV. Watch what's going on here. It's the wonderful world of Mary Song again, or the sound of Mary Song again, my soap opera, my own story going on and on. The sense of this separated self and all the conditioning, the images creating the story of I, and that makes up me, the sense of I. But my friends, when we awaken to the true nature of the story of I, we can open the hand. Joel always talked about this hand with a burning coal in it. We can open the hand and there's that's what's causing the suffering. That pain is burning right through my hand. We can open the hand, drop the coal, and we're also dropping that story of I. Why hold on to it when it's burning you so, when it's causing so much suffering? And then, by the way, we can see that there's really no one hiding. There's no one hiding. It was a story that we lived by. We believed it. We saw it there. I mean, I wouldn't feel bad about it because there it was. And then it seemed real, looks real, just like my dreams at night looks real. But when we see that, no one's really hiding. Then we realize, oh, no one's hiding, nothing to hide from, and furthermore, no place to hide. What results? Selflessness. Joel's book, The Way of Selflessness. Now, some people define selflessness as a person who does good deeds for others. That person is selfless. They do so many good things. But selflessness in a spiritual sense means the I self no longer arises. Selflessness. That might be hard to get. Just a little shift in perspective. You are selfless when you open up, like a flower maybe, and there's no self there. Now, underneath, as in my case, I can still see, oh, yeah, I have this memory, and oh, yes, this and that connects underneath the stream of life, the story of where I was born, and all the things. But it's not a problem. It's not a suffering because I don't have to believe in it. Selflessness results. And some of you might think, oh, selflessness, the self falls out. Well, then what is there to do? Sounds like just an empty box of nothing. What are you going to do? Just sit on the couch then? No motivation? Yeah, the mind can come up with that. Think about that. I'm just going to sit now and watch TV. But it's different from that. Now, I remember a talk that Joel gave on September 14th, 1997, back at the Fillmore Street house. Bev, you remember back there, that little teeny house? I mean, this was a small house, my friends, and Joel and Jennifer graciously and generously opened up their tiny little 2-bedroom house for all of us to come twice a week and take over right on top of them. Anyway, Joel's talks were so penetrating from my mind that I remembered this as I was getting my talk ready. And I wanted to weave it in here because the talk is called Here to Learn, Here to Love, Here to Serve. I remember it so clearly because I heard the message that Joel gave on that day. And I think that Tom is going to maybe provide a link for you. Yeah, there it is now. So that you can also hear this talk um, uh, on the center's webpage under publications audio. You'll find it there, along with many, many, many more fabulous talks. But this one was so profound for me. Here's a quote from Joel. It's about 13 minutes, 45 seconds in. He says, the more you learn, the more you love. The more you love, the more you want to serve. The more you serve, the more you learn. And around it goes. Now, Nirija was so moved by the talk, so we're talking 1997, that she created this quilt that's been hanging in our house ever since. Joel, I don't know if you've seen this. She did other quilts too, using words. Joel said, you can use this as your motto or your mantra, just to remind yourself, why am I here? I'm here to learn. But what does learn mean? Who am I? Who am I? What is this life here? How does this mind work? Using yourself as your own laboratory, the science of looking within, looking at your mind, how it's creating stories and suffering and so on. So she created this, and we've enjoyed it all this time hanging here. So here to learn, here to learn. And out of that innocent learning, not I'm trying to be the best at algebra and, get a big job in algebra, whatever it is. Algebra, why did I pick that? That's my worst subject. um, because love will naturally arise. Now you might think, oh, yeah, I've always wanted to be loved. But it's not about getting love. It's not about setting out, how am I going to get some good loving? Oh boy, there's a lot of songs with that kind of feeling. How am I going to get some good loving? But this kind of love is more about, how can I realize that I am permeated with love all the time? I'm permeated with love. You don't have to go very far if you can only realize that. Here to learn, here to love. And then, as Joel says, the more you love, the more you want to serve. In love, you realize, oh, uh, I'm also this person also this person. I'm all these people. I'm all these things. I'm all this arising. Compassion naturally arises when we can see that.. We want to help. 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 We want to We want to help. Joel also says in that talk, you might go out, you spend the day helping other people. Maybe you go um, work at Food for Lane County or something, and you go out, you're doing service work, and then, okay, you feel good about that. And then you come home and you come in the house. Well, you've already done all the dishes and you've got the house ready for make it nice for someone else. You've done everything. Now what are you going to do? Just sit on the couch? And here's where he says, now you can just cultivate awareness, meditate, because when you meditate, you are being of service to all. Meditation, not as a selfish act, but a selfless act. Coming out of hiding. Why? Why bother? Can't we just stay this way? Why bother? Seems like a lot of work to come out of hiding. Because you, in the divine play that appears to be arising in consciousness, are here to serve. Not serve your soap opera, although you might be able to write that soap opera down and sell it and make a lot of money, but serve with awareness and love. To serve with awareness and love. Check my time real quick. Okay. Buddhists love to talk about the great good fortune of getting a human birth. Not every path talks about that, but Buddhists, yes, the great good fortune of getting a human birth. I like to listen to Lama Tsering Everest, whom you can also hear. She's the director of Chagdud Gompa Odsaling in Brazil, and every Sunday she broadcasts from Brazil, the most astounding Dharma talks, I must say. And in one of those talks, um, she told the story of the boat keeper. And it goes something like this. So the boat keeper comes and gives you a boat. Here's your boat. And then the boat keeper goes away, goes out of sight. You don't know. Where did that boat keeper go? I don't know. So here you have this boat. Oh, a beautiful boat. Look at this boat. And maybe you polish the boat. Maybe you decorate it, put some flowers around it. You invite some friends over. You have a boat party, You sleep on it, maybe. You look up at the stars. You have some sad times. Maybe there's some sad news comes, sad event. Yeah, there's some tears wept. And maybe you have some children. The children, they grow up, they leave the boat. And then one day, the boat keeper comes back, says, time to take the boat back. Why didn't you row to the other shore? Oh, I was supposed to row to the other shore. I was just having a good time. I didn't know. And now the boat is gone. No more boat, no more human birth. Maybe next time. Maybe next time. Maybe not. I don't know how that works. I can't say, that I um, necessarily believe, but it's sometimes useful to talk about. Also, poet Mary Oliver, many of you are very familiar with her work. She has this famous line, sticks with people. She says, tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? What do you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? I have one. I have one wild and precious life. Now, I have always been fascinated by near-death stories. Some of you have been also fascinated by near-death stories. So a person apparently dies and then they're brought back to life. If you gave me a book of stories to read, I'd probably go to the table of contents and I'd look to see, is there one about near death? Because I find that so fascinating. Someone has died and then they come back to life, and do they then see life with new eyes? Does it change how they live? Now, I sort of have thought that I had a near death experience during surgery in 1985. I came back, my life was totally changed. I was thrust onto the spiritual path, and I could not turn back. There was no going back after that. Some of you identify, and maybe at the end of this, you could relate one of those stories. But one of my favorite movies of all time is called Resurrection. 1980, Ellen Burstyn and Sam Shepard, very young looking Sam Shepard. And in this movie, the woman dies and is brought back to life. It's a very interesting story. It's available for free on YouTube if you want to look it up. Resurrection. So, we might think that's pretty cool. To die, to have a near death experience, but you don't need to go to any kind of trouble to experience that, because in daily life we can look at the coming and going, the living and dying that's happening in every day, in every season, in every flower. There's coming and going, there's living and dying within you, your thoughts coming and going, the birth of a thought, the death of a thought, on and on it goes. Have you ever been lost in thought? Let's say you were going to do something. There's a meteor shower tonight. I'm making this up, but it might be actually meteor shower, and you're in a place where there's a nice dark night sky, and you're going to sit out there. You're all comfortable now. You brought out a lawn chair. You're all comfortable. You're going to watch the night sky. And you're going to see, how many shooting stars can I see? Oh boy! But guess what happens? Tick tock, tick tock. The mind starts to think about something and forgets where you are and what you intended to do. Oh, I'm so mad at my brother. What he said to me. How could he say that? I really deserve an apology from him. And on you spin the story. How could he say that and do that? I think that I'd better send him a book on how to be a better person. Mhm. An hour goes by. Oh, was that a shooting star? Out of the corner of my eye, I thought I saw something. But you've been gone. You were dead to the shooting stars. You were somewhere in here in the story of I, all all the worry and agitation and so on. Yeah. We can miss the whole night sky. We can miss the whole life. So during long meditation retreats with Ruth Dennison, she was a Vipassana teacher, by the way. Vipassana is often very stern and strict, but Ruth had a lot of her own colorful methods. But anyway, a long meditation retreat with Ruth was a profound effort, typically 10 days long of meditation. And Ruth would often end a long day's meditation with a quote from Vimala Thakar, Thakar, who was a spiritual teacher and social activist from India. The quote is, "Life is in the here and now. Either we meet it, we live it, or we miss it." That would always shake me up. It's possible to miss life? How? By never being present. by always being lost in the story of I. And that, in a way, is being dead, dead to what's really arising all around you. And by being a prisoner to that, it gives way to the hindrances that I learned from Buddhism. It keeps you busy with worry and agitation, sloth and torpor, anger, fear, doubt, and desire for things to be different than they are. I wanted to be totally awake. I wanted that. I recall that when Ruth was speaking, giving a Dharma talk, and I would notice the beginning, the leading edge of some kind of fantasy or something's arising, wants to carry me away, whatever kind of a thing it was. I would shake it off. I'd see it coming, I'd shake it off. I'd say, no time to fantasize now. No time to fantasize now. I'm here. I'm here. Think about that thing later if it needs to be thought about. And yet, how may I serve was constantly arising. How may I serve? Can I help here in any way in what's being created in this Sangha? May I sweep the deck? May I arrange the shoes? May I do the dishes? May I help? May I be present so that all may benefit? Naturally arising. Beautiful. It was around that time when I was with Ruth that I began to hear the quote, die before you die. How many have heard that quote? Good, good. Yeah, so I was looking it up. It has many attributions. I can't say, oh, Rumi said it, or, somebody had said it. Everybody said it. It's been said for millennia, it looks like, from what I saw. So, what does it really mean? Ajashanti, I got a little quote from Aja over here. It says, to die before you die is not just a quaint saying. It speaks to a very real experience that directly relates to a person's spiritual awakening. The important thing to realize is that you are grieving over a self that never was. It is grieving over shadows and dreams. Or in my language, it is grieving over fiction. Just like when you go to the movie theater, as Joel would say, and see the Titanic and grieve again and again over that story. Again and again. There's some kind of pleasure in that, I suppose, in that grief. The fiction of the story of I. Die before the body dies, so that you might meet life as it really is, so that you might be life in its true nature and know it. Then, when the death of the body comes, there is no death of you in the story of I. That death occurred the moment you came out of hiding completely. That death occurred the moment you came out of hiding completely. No one to hide, no place to hide, nothing to hide. The death of your belief in the story of I. And I will end with a short poem of Mary Oliver that I mentioned earlier. And then I will be inviting Deborah Meadow is going to speak for us. Let's see, Nancy. Yeah, Nancy is going by Nancy today. Nancy will speak also for us, read something for us, something short. And also Melissa is going to read for us something short. And anyone else who wants to come forward and share a near-death experience or coming out of hiding or question or comment, it would be the time to do it. And remember this service to community. When we speak, when we hear with each other, we're giving to each other. And let me tell you, there's lots of folks out there isolated. One look from you, one word, one poem, one just loving attention can mean all the world, can can hold their heart. So your attention is so valuable. Don't hoard it. Don't hoard it. Coming out of hoarding, coming out of hoarding and hiding. That's another topic. Some of my writing people, we're going to do that pretty soon, coming out of hoarding. Okay, Mary Oliver has this to say. And then Deborah, I'm going to invite you. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean. The one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Thank you, my friends. Thank you. Thank you for being here and for listening in. So we're gonna talk with Deborah Meadow here a little bit. For those who don't know, I've been offering spiritual writing workshops at the center for, I don't know now, year and a half, or is it 2 years? Somebody would have to tell me. I'm so confused about time. 2 years now, Sherry? Okay, Sherry was one of my first ones and has really blossomed on Zoom, by the way. I don't know how this is possible, but it really has blossomed on Zoom. And we use creative writing in these workshops to look at the story of I and loosen the grip. It's not to make it more solid or to say, yeah, that's who I am and I'm sticking to it, but rather to, oh, this is the story of I, and loosening the grip, loosening the grip. Oh, listen to everybody else's story. Yeah, we're all loosening the grip together. And in a way, celebrating the stories of I through fiction, poetry. Some do music and creative nonfiction. And sometimes in these rounds that we do, people have breakthroughs or they realize something. Um, in Deborah's group, we have done a lot of work on coming out of hiding. That's been a theme that I wouldn't necessarily call it work, but we've been going with this theme and letting it unfold. So, Deborah, what do you have to tell us about this today?
Well, excuse me, good morning. The first thing I have to tell you is this is scary. So I just thought I'd get that out of the way because coming out of hiding is scary and there's 56 of you. Well, one of them's me. So I thought I had this whole order in my head and I'm going to change it and then rip the Band-Aid off right away.
Okay.
The thing that I came to understand about myself through, well, two things, through Mary Song's writing workshops and through the wonderful practitioners group that Andrea is leading right now on trauma and the unbound body. So thank you to both of you and to all the people that are in those groups for providing the support. So the ripping off the Band-Aid is I came to understand very recently after 6+ decades of my life that I'm on the autistic spectrum. And that was a big
Yes.
revelation to me. So now that I've ripped that Band-Aid off, I just want to go say a few other things about it. I've been thinking about it and doing research and assessments for a couple years, and it did just finally surface when I was able to quiet down and look. I want to offer another word though, instead of, or in addition to autistic, and that's neurodivergent. It's less disordery. And it includes some other traits that I also share, high sensitivity, ADHD, some synesthesia, and some sensory processing disorder. And one of my favorite comedians and social commentators is Hannah Gadsby, and she calls autism, she doesn't like to call it, she said it's not a disorder, it's an experience. And I really like that. I just really like thinking of it as a different way of experiencing the world. So neurodivergence really is just a nice term. So I have a lot, some of all of those traits and a lot of some of them. When I finally came to understand this about myself, it just made my entire life, like looking back 60 years, make sense. And it's just been such a huge revelation. It was like I was wearing glasses with Vaseline rubbed on them, and just everything in my life was blurry. And this has been like washing off the Vaseline. I don't know if you've ever, when I was 20 something, I put on somebody else's glasses and I was like, oh, the trees have leaves, and they're people with eyes and mouths on the television and things. I mean, it feels like that, only for my whole life. I also learned that high functioning girls and women especially are very hard to diagnose and assess. And because we're very good at what's called masking, which should be pretty obvious, but covering up our innate traits in order to fit into work, school, family, social situations, not to make waves, not to cause trouble, not to, cause any inconvenience. Some of us learn that very, very well right up front, like almost from the moment we're born. And I think I probably learned it. I think I'm probably an expert at it, and so good at it that I hid it from myself. And so actually coming out of hiding about this, at first it was, the scariest part was telling other people, and I haven't told very many people, honestly. I'll talk about that in a minute, but you're the most. But when I really think about it, coming out of hiding to myself is actually much more consequential than coming out of hiding to any other single person or group. And it makes coming out of hiding to other people that much easier. On a daily basis these days, still I'm thinking in one situation or another, oh, this is what I really think. Or this is how I do things if I'm left to my own natural devices. I truly did not know what I thought or how I reacted in situations before this. I couldn't distinguish myself and my own thoughts from some other people's thoughts. So like a really critical example of this in my own life right now is people who are neurodivergent, especially on the spectrum, tend to think in pictures. And I didn't realize that until I read Temple Grandin's autobiography, Thinking in Pictures. And I just saw so much of myself in her. And then I realized that is actually what I do. I grew up in a really wordy family, like passionate readers and writers, and I'm a passionate reader and writer too, but I think in pictures first, and then I translate them to words. And understanding this has had really huge implications for me because I'm a visual artist. And now I'm able to find such joy and creative energy and freedom by working directly from the pictures in my head to the medium I'm working with. It's clay a lot now, rather than writing it first or even drawing a sketch of it first. I just find the most direct way for me is to hold the thing I'm working with in my hand, and my hands and eyes translate this picture that I have in my head directly rather than thinking it through in words first. So that's been really consequential for me. There are, dozens and dozens of other examples. But there's still the issue of coming out to other people like I'm doing to you now, and that was pretty scary because you don't know how they're going to react. Out for most of you, you don't know me that well, or at all maybe, or if you do know me pretty well, you've only known me for 3 years, so you don't have a big history. But for my family and for friends that I've known a long time, my big worry was that they would say, oh no, you're not that, I know you, and you've never exhibited those traits. And which is exactly the point, because I haven't exhibited those traits because I've kept them in the storage shed out back. So they're right. But the fact of the matter is, I have those traits and I was hiding them, and finding them and attributing them to myself, accepting them, has just been so freeing. So, I've told some people, but not others yet. I'm just really cautious. Told my daughter, but not my son. No, for no particular reason. Then the opportunity just hasn't come up. I've told my stepmother, but not my mother. It'll happen. I've told all you. So
Yes, and I just want to applaud you on that, Deborah, because yeah, I can see people really appreciating that. When you brought this to our writing group, it affected a lot of people. It moved us in a miraculous way, and I think probably many people here are also feeling that. You talk about masking, which is a term used in the world of neurodivergence, but also lots of other people identify with masking. Like, in the last talk, I talked about coming out as gay, and so I masked for decades. Oh, you can't see that. It's like you can't see it, so I'm masking. And I think that you discovered you were holding back so much energy. Can you say something about the energy that?
the masking, well, Mary Song read a bit of a piece of writing from one of her former students to me on the phone a few weeks ago, and it saw me so well. I started crying on the phone. But this young woman just said it so well. She said that masking is so deeply effortful, and the cost of it is so high, especially for women. She was talking about, and so yeah, I mean, when I think about the amount of energy I've wasted, I don't know, on covering up my traits, I didn't even know I was doing it. It's a little sad, and I do have to grieve a lot of lost time and potential, but here I am going one way forward.
I just really, I'm so glad that you decided to do that. And before we go on with the couple readings, does anyone have a question or comment they wanted to make to Deborah about this? Because, that is a very brave thing to do. Um, I don't seem to have the participant. If you raise your hand, if you had something you wanted to say or comment to Deborah, does anybody have a hand? I see Hillary's hand, physical hand going up, Tom. If there you are, Hillary.
Hi, Deborah. I really appreciate you sharing that. I really appreciate it. It is scary, and I just love hearing that it's bringing you so much relief. I can really relate to a lot of what you say, but I've heard it in a new way now, and so thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for saying that. I do think a lot of people, especially women our age, can relate to this, even if they're not, diagnosable. we've hidden a lot.
Yeah, and being not even aware of it because you just believe so much in what you're trying to convince other people that you are that you don't
Absolutely. I
even.
kind of refer to it as the ultimate gaslighting. I mean, you learn to gaslight yourself from
Yes.
so early.
Good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. You give up on yourself and just are
But
completely.
it isn't even giving up. Like I didn't know.
Yeah.
I just didn't know.
Yeah.
Right.
I did it so well that I hid myself from myself completely. So I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a little weird.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think Ellie had a hand. I see several hands going up. Let's see, Tom, what do you think? Is it Sherry? Sherry's got a hand. Okay. Sherry, you're on.
Kitty, thank you. I just want to affirm what an incredible gift it is. This very unusual, striking sensitivity that sees in visual images. I used to chase Deborah out of class to ask her to please publish what she had written because it just so moved me. She's into more visual art now, but oh, if everybody could hear some of the things she has written, it's really an amazing gift.
Thank you, Sherry.
Deborah, did you bring a piece that you were going to read?
No.
No. Okay. Next time.
Yeah, no, I didn't. No. But thank you, Sherry. Yeah, I appreciate that. I know you have been on me. I did just submit a piece to the Sun, Sherry, and you were the first person who told me that I should do that. So thank you.
Yes, to the sun. Good.
Great. So was there anyone else who wanted to make a comment to Deborah before we move on? Okay. So we have a couple of readings and then we'll open it up to everybody else to talk. They're short readings. The first one will be Nancy, and then we'll go directly from Nancy to Melissa. So Tom, I don't know if I told you about Melissa, but those two. And just have a listen. These pieces were written as part of the writing workshops. I don't know if they were done directly in workshop for like 3 to 4 minutes, but they are intuitive writings. So we'll begin.
Okay. So thanks, Mary Song, for having me do this. I appreciate it. Coming out of hiding, she begins to see beauty in strange situations. When her dog barks endlessly, she realizes he is protecting her from unseen dangers. When her teenage daughter yells at her, she realizes her daughter is beginning to establish her growing independence. And her husband's complaints she sees as his insecurities and not his criticism of her. A person cutting her off in traffic just has an anxious mind. The beauty is that she is not reacting to their issues, but coming from a place of clearer responding. She feels empowered. A moment of great beauty comes to her when she is able to address a group of people, something she has never been able to do before. Another beautiful consequence is that her body no longer goes into a state of shock when her fears arise. She is able to embrace any experience with much more joy and appreciation and feel that joy in her bones. She has more energy and is more awake somehow. And as she goes through each day, each hour, she notices and feels life keenly from her heart. Beauty springs forth when we are able to pay attention to the details of anything. The more in depth we can experience a flower, the clouds, a person, the ongoing constant change of anything, the ability of life to adapt, our own inner ability to expose our truest self, and our capacity for love and compassion. The more in depth we can experience these, the more beauty we will see. Life is a miracle, a gift, an endless experience, and we are inherently one with and part of it all. Amazingly beautiful.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nancy. It's just gorgeous. And then Sweetbird, uh, Melissa. There you are.
Hello, everybody. I wanted to say that part of my service in the world is speaking for the voiceless. And what I've written here, some of it has been written in other articles about the beings that you will soon know what I'm talking about. The girl came out of hiding so she could remember 2009 and make sure the people were aware. When the wolf journey, or OR7, was born in the Wallowa, Whitman National Forest of Oregon, one of the first wolf babies born here in more than 60 years. Journey left his pack as a 2-year-old and became famous for traveling much further than usual for wolves, hundreds of miles, and he became the first wolf in Western Oregon in more than 70 years. Then he wandered into California, and they hadn't seen wolves in almost 100 years. He went around 4,000 miles before settling in Southwest Oregon. One of his daughters, OR54, was recently found dead. She was believed to be 3 to 4 years old and had traveled more than 8,700 miles between Oregon and California. She was a superstar wolf. Oh, so devastating, her loss. The girl had always loved wolves since she could ever remember from the beginning of her life. She felt a deep kinship and love for them and their wild, fierce beauty and spirit. She cried when they were reintroduced to the Lower 48, Yellowstone, January of 1995. 8 greys from Alberta, Canada were released, the first wolves since the 20s to be in Yellowstone. Only a few had survived the extermination of wolves in the United States in the 60s, and they lived in the Great Lakes region. Finally, in 1974, wolves were saved under the Endangered Species Act and could slowly begin a comeback. Their populations are doing much better now, but ranchers and illegal hunters, and now even legal hunters, are their enemies and kill them. It was such a sad day when OR54 was found dead in the early part of 2020. They don't know what killed her. The girl cried over her loss. She wished she could help people realize their magnificence. She wished ranchers would stop fencing off America and start pursuing plant-based lives and realize they could share much more land and life with other creatures if they could give up the cattle. The girl came out of hiding to share her beloved wolves' stories and to educate people about them and how they balance the ecosystems in nature and how wonderful, stellar, and magnificent they are. The wolves have come out of hiding at their peril. Wild, fierce, beauty, spirit.
Mm. Thank you so much for that. Very powerful piece. Okay. Let's just take a moment and look around at these faces in the boxes. It's wonderful to see you all. I had a sick day yesterday and I wasn't sure I was going to make it today. I was all like, oh no, Tom, help me. What's going to happen? But I think I made it through. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Joel. So I want to end, let me see, I have a couple pages. Let's see the other people. Hi, everybody. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Chris. Vika Stan coming in from quite a ways away, huh? There's Meg and Aaron. Hi, Aaron. Lakshmi. So many beautiful faces. So, what I'd like to do is everyone brings up their hands this way, just palms facing out. Yeah. Oh, I feel the radiant energy. Thank you. I think you're sending me some healing energy. Is that right? Yeah. Thank you, Bob. Thank you. And now we're going to you bring your hands to the edge of your screen so that it's a little bit hard to do if you got a long spread, but so your fingers are just off the edge. Yeah. So then the illusion that we see is that we're touching hands. Oh my goodness. So we're actually, well, not actually, we're virtually connecting, our fingertips touching across the miles. So beautiful. And then one hand comes making a journey over to the heart chakra. Ooh. And then the other side. Palms meeting, complete. And with deep gratitude for every one of you, we bow to each other. So thank you, everyone. I'm going to click off, but I don't know, Tom, if you leave it open still where people can talk or not, is that still
Sure, yes.
a happening thing? So there may be some questions or someone would like some information from some of you. So, but for me, bye-bye.